We now continue with Workshop 2, Interculturality, Principles to Support Effective English Learning in the Intercultural class, led by Professor Jaime Ancajima. The session will be introduced by Professor Steffi Gracie Marin from the Research Seatbelt CIPIL, who will also moderate and guide the Q&A segment with our speaker. Let's welcome them.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to introduce to you Jaime Ancajima from the Universidad de Piura, Peru. He holds a bachelor's degree in education, a master's degree in TEFL from the Universidad Europea del Atlántico, a TESOL certificate from St. Mary's University, England, a Skills and Principles in Language Teacher Training Workshop Design, Observation, and Feedback Certificate from Centro Espiral Maná, Institute for Collaborative Learning in Costa Rica in American Culture and Society Institute, certificate from New York University, USA. He has delivered face-to-face workshops and plenaries in Ecuador, Colombia, Costa Rica, Peru, and Spain. He has also presented online webinars and plenaries in Argentina, Bolivia, Mexico, India, the USA, Costa Rica, and Peru. He's interested in teacher training, building language communities, and learning from everyone. Since 2020, he has been running the International English Online Meetings. Dr. Ancajima, please remember that you have 30 minutes for your presentation and 10 minutes for questions. You may begin with your presentation.
Thank you so much, dear friends of Colombia and everywhere in the world who is listening and watching us. So I thought that I had 50 minutes to present, but that's okay. I'll try to do my best and present in 30 minutes. So the name of my presentation today is Principles to Support Effective English Learning in the Intercultural class. If anybody wants to contact me, this is my WhatsApp and this is my email. I will be more than grateful to share any material you want from my presentation. Okay, this is the university where I work. It's called Universidad de Piura because the city is called Piura. Then this is the way my city looks. Okay, what are we going to do in this presentation? We are going to reflect together. Why? Because we don't learn from experience, but we learn from reflecting on experiences. Now, what is effective learning? Something very important to keep in mind. Effective learning is, let me show you, when the methods actively involve children in their own learning and personal development. That is very important, the personal development of our students. Does our teaching style matter? Yes, of course. Now, what shapes our teaching style? Our age, our personality, our background, engagement, motivation, teaching philosophy, beliefs, experiences we have had, studies we have, teachers you had, characteristics of your students, the learning environment, politics of the institution, and so on. Now, does experience in different culture scenarios matter when we teach? Of course it does. Let me show you a little bit about my experience. I have worked in 5 different schools and 5 different institutes, okay? And also at the education school here in my university. I had this TESOL course in England where I had to teach students from different nationalities from Italy, France, Turkey, Iran, Africa, etc. And in the TESOL course in Costa Rica, I worked with teachers from Chile, from Mexico, from Colombia, from Spain, from Portugal, different countries in the world. Then I had this American Culture and Society Institute in New York, where I worked with 15 professors from different countries in the world. Then I also had the chance of working with Confucio Institute Chinese teachers, giving them a classroom management course. And finally, I had Spanish classes with Canadian students last year. And 5 years ago, we started this beautiful experience of organizing monthly work
Excuse me?
webinars.
Dear professor, I'm sorry, you were right. You have 50 minutes for your presentation. I'm sorry, I was wrong. You have 50 minutes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, dear Steffi. Then 5 years ago, I started these monthly work webinars. It's been 5 years, and we have had like 140 speakers from different countries in the world. So all this experience has given me a lot of feedback, a lot of information, a lot of ideas, a lot of things to think about when working in an intercultural classroom. So number one, let's establish what is interculturality, okay? So interculturality, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. Sorry, just a minute. I can see myself. You see the presentation? Really?
Yes, we can see your presentation.
Oh, but I can't. I don't know what happened. Just a minute. I don't know what happened. Here it is. Now I can see it. Sorry. So what is interculturality? Is being able to understand. Okay. I don't know what happened. Why I can't go to the next. Let me leave. Sorry. Compartir. Okay. And here it is. I don't know what's wrong. My screen. Let me try to do it again, please. Okay. Here it is, but I don't know why I can't. Okay, now it is. Being able to, sorry about that. Sorry about it. Being able to understand, relate to, and being open toward different cultures, ethnicity, religion, language, nationality, and so many other things. Now, what is intercultural learning? Intercultural learning is the process of becoming more aware of and better understanding one's own culture and other cultures around the world. Now, the question after this is, why is interculturality important? Well, it leads to more tolerance, acceptance, and stronger relationships among people of diverse backgrounds. Now, do you know how many definitions of culture exist? Anybody knows? Well, there are more than 100 definitions of culture. Some definitions are a way of life, a set of social practices, a system of beliefs, a shared history, experiences. Culture may be synonyms with a country or a region or a nationality. We talk about being aware, and the question here is, what is cultural awareness? Well, cultural awareness is a fifth skill, the ability to be aware of cultural relativity besides reading, writing, listening, and speaking. As I mentioned before, I have had these different experiences in different parts of the world, working and connecting people from different countries, and their beliefs, their religions, their way of speaking, even Mexicans, Colombians, Chileans, Peruvians, Bolivians. We have our particular way of expressing our ideas in spite of speaking Spanish, but that is because we are culturally different. Now, what is intercultural communicative competence? Something that we are going to talk about today. Well, raise the students' awareness, not only the teachers, but also the students' awareness of their own culture, and help them to interpret and understand other cultures. A set of practices requiring knowledge, skill, and attitudes, that is competences. So here we have a list of different competences that we need to have when working with intercultural classroom. Observe, identify, and recognize. Compare and contrast. Negotiate meaning. Deal with or tolerate ambiguity. Effectively interpret messages. Defend your own point of view, acknowledge the legitimacy of others, accept difference, and reduce the risk of misinterpretation. Now, here is the most important part of this presentation. How does this affect the role of the teacher? Well, the teacher must be an educator before than being an instructor. Then the teacher must help students become more aware of the world around them. Teachers must help students better interact with the world. And finally, bring culture into the classroom and be unique mediators of cultural relativity. I don't know about the 1,882 people who are listening to us and watching us in YouTube. I don't know about your experiences, but before traveling abroad, when I was teaching English in the classroom, my students usually ask me, teacher, because that's the way they refer to us in Peru, teacher, have you been to the USA? And I said, no. Teacher, have you been to England? No. And then when I traveled and I studied there, it was completely different, my approach to the students. I could tell them the way most people behave, about their customs, their food, and my interaction with my students was much better than before. Now, there are 6 principles to support effective English learning and intercultural class. There are 6 principles. They are not the only one, but of course, according to my experience and in the different classrooms that I have worked in schools, institutes, university schools, and conferences around the world, I can tell you that they do really work. Number 1 is get to know your learners. Every time you have a new class, collect information about your learners' families, languages, cultures, and educational background. What kind of information you need or you should collect? Home city, cultural background, level of proficiency, home language literacy level, educational background, special and individual needs, prior knowledge of the language, learning preferences and styles, cultural knowledge, life experiences, interests, gifts and talent, life goals, and social emotional background. This is the most important information that we should collect when working with students from different cultures. Number 1. Another idea about getting to know our students, we need to prepare lessons based on the information collected and take advantage of the resources that learners bring to the classroom to enhance learning. For example, the university where I work is on the coast, and Peru is divided in three natural regions: the coast, the highland, and the jungle. In my university, we have mostly students from the coast, but we also have students from the jungle, from the highland. So what I usually do, I encourage these students to talk about their regions, to talk about their towns, their people, their food, their culture, so we can learn. And we do the same with them. We teach them, we talk to them about our customs and ideas and beliefs, and then the classroom get enriched. Number two is create conditions for language learning. What is that? For example, we have new students, give students a warm welcome. I'm a very friendly teacher, so at the beginning, the students feel a little bit shy, a little bit introvert about using the language from the very, very beginning. So it takes them a few minutes to get involved. But the warmer you are, the more confident the students feel. So giving students a warm welcome every day is very important in our classes because it reduces the affected filter. What else? Design appropriate work spaces and organize the physical environment of the classroom. This is the way I usually like to work with my students. If they are looking at each other, not giving their back to the other ones, so they can get to know each other and see them in their eyes. Not always, I don't always work like this, but this is something that I personally like because it invites the students to get to know each other. Another idea about getting the students getting to know the students is use clear and routine language to communicate. Praise students for effort and persistence. Something that I do in my class all the time, and it works when students do something correct. I have my students say, hey, excellent, and everyone does that. Everyone, all the students. At the beginning, there are some students who are reluctant to do that because they are serious, and I respect their personalities. But once they understand that doing, yeah, when everybody does something right, even when they do something wrong, it makes them feel more confident and more part of the class. Another idea is from students to connect their learning to their own lives. This is something very important. When we teach a certain grammar point, immediately get the students personalize their examples. If we start talking about Philip Stevenson on a reading, but then we never talk about their lives, students will feel not connected. So what I highly recommend, is to connect any topic that you are studying with your students' own lives. Number 5 is make decisions to get the social integration of all students. I remember having a student who was blind, 90% blind. Now she's a professor at the law school here in my university. She's 100% blind, but unbelievably, she learned to speak. So we as teachers need to make decisions to get not only the social integration of all students, but also that the students feel part of the class. It doesn't matter the problem or condition they have. Number 2 is design high quality lessons for language development. Some ideas, okay. Number 1 is plan meaningful lessons with clear outcomes. This is the lesson plan that I learned to use in St. Mary's University in London, in England, like 15 years ago. And this is what we use at our institute. Here we have the aim, the target language, the assumption of our students' knowledge, anticipated problems, its material, and the stages that we follow. Okay, it works very well with me, with us, with all of us. I don't know what kind of lesson plans you have, but you can have a look and maybe try if it works with you. What else? Develop learning strategies and critical thinking. because of the overuse of technological tools nowadays, used by not only by teachers, not only by students, but also by teachers, we highly recommend to develop different learning strategies and critical thinking. As we know, critical thinking is we have a problem, we think, we analyze, we reflect, and we get a solution. What about learning strategies? Well, we have different strategies here you can see in a small class, in large classes, case studies, role plays, 1-minute paper, think, pair, share, index card pass, and things like that. What else? Talking about the point number 3, provide input through different approaches, methods, and techniques. Something that I like doing with my students is giving them input about their listening, speaking, reading, writing before the exams, before the quizzes. We shouldn't wait for the results of the quizzes or the exams to give input to the students. Remember, well, this is what I tell my students, that the purpose of the class is not taking quizzes or getting grades or doing grammar or doing exercises. But the purpose of the class is learning and getting a change in their personality, getting to learn to do something new that they didn't know before. It's not only getting the information, but learning to think, learning to analyze, learning to do something with the new information they obtain. Another idea is plan your lessons based on the learning objectives. This is the book we use in Centro de Idiomas in my university, okay? And this is the beginning of a unit. It has the goal, it has the grammar, it has the vocabulary. What I usually recommend new teachers, and we also talk among all the senior teachers, to pay attention to grammar, okay, to pay attention to vocabulary, okay, but keep in mind that the most important part of the class is the goal. The goal is used in the grammar, the goal is used in the vocabulary, the goal must be present in every single activity we prepare. Number 4 is adapt lessons delivery, as needed. What is it? Number 1, assess your work while teaching. This is another part of the book we use. We usually have our students reflect at the end of the unit, and we ask, how confident do you feel about the state of the statement, below, right, 1 to 5. If you don't want to use this, you can ask the students to write on pieces of paper how they feel, what problems they struggle with, what misunderstandings, what confusions, but the most important, the feelings, how they feel, if they feel they are learning or not. Check students' comprehension. How? Using these different strategies and skills. Now, something important to mention here is a schema or schemata is the mental framework or concept created to organize and interpret information. This is something that I like to use with my students because they can express their ideas from their personal point of view. So you have using a schema, predicting, inferring, questioning, determining importance, visualizing, synthesizing, etc., etc. Let me remind you, if you want a copy of this presentation, I will be very happy to send it to you. Another idea about this point number 4 is observe and reflect on your learners' responses and adjust instruction according to these responses. I don't know if you teachers or future teachers do this. When you give students an exam and you get the results 20s, 19s, 15s, 16s, is that all you do, or you reflect about the quiz that you prepare and you gave your students? Something that we teachers, at least in my country, don't do is to assess on the process of teaching and learning. And what do we understand by assessing here? It is analyzing student responses, help teachers gauge their understanding of the material and identify areas where students may be struggling. If we think that our classes are 100% clear, we are wrong. If we think that everything we teach our students will learn immediately, we are wrong. We need to ask our students to give us feedback. I know that many teachers say, but what about if they criticize me? We are human beings, so we must be open to students' points of view and not be afraid of feeling vulnerable. It's okay to feel vulnerable. Number five is monitor and assess student language development. Remember, language learners learn at different rates, even teachers. I am 62 years old, chronologically speaking, I'm old in my institute. Most teachers are 40, 30, 29, okay. So I usually explain to them that when it's something technological, it takes me longer to learn something. And I explain that we learn at different rates, but something that we must pay attention to in our classes is this information. Students learn 90% of what we say and do in doing, simulating, doing, and doing. Not only reading, not only hearing, not only looking, not only watching, not only seeing, but also participating, being actively part of the class, giving a talk, doing a dramatic presentation, simulating the real experience. This is something that really works. Next, regularly monitor and assess their students, their language and development, monitor students' errors, provide feedback, repeat what is necessary, provide ongoing effective feedback strategically. Other data to measure student language growth. This is something that can help you. You write here the name of the students, and here you keep a record of what the students are doing and the way they learn better or they don't every single day or every single unit. Number 6 and the last one. Number 6 and the last one. Number 6 is engage and collaborate within a community of practice. I would say that this is the most important part of being a professor. Do not be afraid if there are people who are younger than you and they know more than you. Do not be afraid if there are people in your work who are masters or who have a PhD, but you still don't have one. That's not the problem. The problem is if you have been teaching for many years and you don't study something new, if you don't learn something new, if you don't try something new. The competition, okay, the competition is not with the other colleagues, it's not with your peers. The competition is with yourself. So let me tell you a little bit about what we mean by engage and collaborate within a community of practice. Something beautiful is to collaborate with your colleagues. Plan and co-teach. I don't know if you do this, but I love doing this. I tell Alex, for example, who works next to my classroom, I say, Alex, next week, could you please go to my class and teach this grammar or this song or this point for 20 minutes, 25 minutes to my students, and I will go to yours. So we co-plan and we co-teach. What is the result? The students love it. The students are excited about listening to two different tones, two different ways of teaching, two different ways of approaching. After 2 or 3 weeks, I do the same, but with another student, with another teacher. And the students love the diversity. Now, what is the problem? That some professors, some teachers don't like having a new teacher in their classrooms because they consider that those teachers are better, those teachers have more experience. But I explain to them that we are different. We are different, and there is no problem of being different. What else? Provide support to your colleagues with their programming and instruction, especially if they are new, especially if they are young. What else? Help others to continue with their professional learning. I'm 62 and I'm studying a second master degree. I want to learn about how to work on research, on doing research with my students. So we should not feel embarrassed or ashamed and understand that we will always learn, that we teachers are students until our last day of life. Now, if you want some bibliography, I have this book, The 6 Principles for Exemplary Teaching of English Learning. I have the PDF of this book. So if you want this book, please write to me and I will send it to you. I don't have this book, but if I get them, I will try to send them to you. And here you have some links on this topic. I will send you the presentation and you can do your own research. Now, here we have some final thoughts. I don't know, Steffi, if we, before the final thoughts, we can go with some questions or at the end.
As you want, dear professor, I think it's better at the end.
All right. Thank you so much, Steffi. I will ask you for your support, dear Steffi. Could you help me, please, reading out this thought?
Of course. Children are better able to learn when the classroom climate is positive, warm, and inviting.
Yes. Sorry, go on.
Part of being welcome is seeing your own language and culture reflected throughout all aspects of our classroom, of the classroom.
Yeah, let me ask you something, dear Steffi. What part of Colombia are you from?
I'm from Vélez in Santander.
Okay. What is something that people from Bogota don't know about your town?
Maybe our culture.
Yes.
We are very recognized for a food, like a snack called bocadillo veleño. Bocadillo veleño is a snack made from guava and sugar, and it's delicious. Maybe our dances, we dance a typical, maybe from our past cultures, and we've got a special, how can I say this, like shirts and skirts and many things that we only use here in Vélez.
Okay. What about your accent, Steffi? Do you have a special accent? For example, people from my city in Piura is in the north of Peru, very close to your country, Colombia, very close. I've been to Florencia, Caquetá, I've been to Bogotá, and I've been to this city 2 hours away from Bogotá. Oh my God, I don't remember. But everywhere I go in Colombia, I can hear different accents. What about your accent, dear Steffi?
My accent is Santanderiano. We have 32 departments in Colombia, and our culture is very diverse, and we have many accents. You can go to the north, and you can find an accent to the south of Colombia, and you can find a total different accent. So we have many things to know about different departments.
Okay, and the last question, sorry, Steffi, the last question. As I said, I'm from Piura, and we have something like a Mexican accent when we speak in Spanish. And we go to the capital city, Lima, they turn their faces and they say, ah, you are from Piura, from the north. Does that happen to you too?
Of course, it happens the same here in Colombia. You can easily find someone who is from the Caribbean coast, and you can easily identify people from the south. Because their accent is very
It's beautiful, right? Yeah. No, thank you so much, Steffi. I hope somebody else here in the audience can help me read the next one. It could be Sergio, Silvia, Angelica, Valeria, Juana, or Jose. Anybody, please, who can read the next final thought. Thank you, Silvia, Juliana.
Teachers must match the diversity of their classroom with their own diversity of methods and materials they use to engage and teach students.
Any idea, my dear Silvia, Juliana, when you read teachers must match the diversity of their classroom, something to say about it?
Well, I think as a teachers, we need to understand the context we are teaching in, right? And something I like to do when I teach is adapt materials to Colombian context, because sometimes we just it's good to show students different cultures, but it's also important to include our own culture. And sometimes the material as they are brought from other countries, especially USA.
Do you work at a public institution or private institution?
I work here at UNAD.
Okay, and the diversity of the students is big, it's small?
It's so big because we have different students from all different departments, as Steffi was mentioning. So yeah, we have to work with different cultures. And for example, I have the course Didactics of English, and of course, when my students plan their classes, they must be aware of their students' level, but also their culture and the content they are teaching in to adapt those materials.
Okay, thank you so much, dear Silvia. I need another volunteer, please, to read the next quote. Anybody here in the audience who can give me a hand? Sergio, Angelica, Valeria, or Juana, please.
I can do.
Thank you so much, Juana Valentina.
Research tells us that culturally responsive teaching practices promote the social, emotional, and academic development of all students.
What does this quote make you think? Do you have something to say about research? Tell us that culturally responsive teaching practices. I didn't know this how do you say this sentence? Culturally responsive teaching practices. Are you aware? Have you heard this expression before? Culturally responsive teaching practices?
I didn't hear this sentence before, this quote before, but I'm quite aware of how research could shape our teaching abilities. And I'm pretty sure my students do know a lot about it because we work a lot into taking research as a tool for improving our own teaching abilities and our own abilities into the classroom, and how we behave and how we involve and develop our own teaching practices.
Something that I pay a lot of attention, dear Juana, is the emotional development of my students. Because the more, the safer, the more confident they are, the more integrated, the more connected with the class they are, the safer they feel emotionally talking. How would you say that emotions are developed in your classroom?
Well, I try to connect with my students. It might be a little bit difficult because of virtual classrooms, but
Yes.
I try to be really responsive and I try to connect with them, trying to answer to their questions in an accurate way, and I try to care what they're talking about as much as they let me, because
Yeah.
also when you work at virtual environments, you need to know that you will be working with people that maybe don't want to be too close to you. Therefore,
Right.
I am as close as they let me to be close.
Yes, that's a wonderful point, dear Juana. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next one. This is something that I love. Anybody else, please, here in the audience? I love this quote. Anybody who wants to read, please? Could be somebody who has already read.
Be teachable.
Please, yeah, Steffi.
Okay. Be teachable. Teachable. You're not always right.
Do you agree or strongly disagree?
I strongly agree.
Ah, I thought you were going to say I strongly disagree.
No, I agree.
What does it mean to you? What does it make you think?
We as human beings, we make many mistakes. And
Of course.
I was thinking about the question you asked me before about my accent, and I answered Santanderiano because I'm from Colombia, but maybe you were asking about English or American accent.
No. About your Colombian accent.
Okay. And maybe when we are through a class, we try to teach what we know, but maybe we don't know what students know. And they can teach us
Of course.
a lot of things that we maybe don't know about their culture, as you said before, their accent, or maybe things that we as teachers can really study more to help them to grow as a person, not just as a professional.
Or maybe, Steffi, I don't know if this has happened to you, but a student telling you, teacher, that is incorrect because I read here that, and this is correct. And you had to say, oops, yes, you are right, and I am wrong. That has happened to me, and I say, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we are not always right.
Yeah, and there was a phrase that I liked a lot, and it was, the competition is with yourself.
Yes.
Because I like this phrase because I think we can always be our best version every day. Each day we can work in order to be our best version of ourselves.
Yes. Thank you so much, Steffi. We got two more quotes before the last comments. It's the teacher that makes the difference, not the classroom. Yeah, we sometimes don't like that or this classroom, and we say that the students are like that, the students behave this way, but sometimes it's us, the ones who have to change. So it's the teacher that makes the difference, not the classroom. And finally, this is the final quote. I would like anybody else, please, to help me. It can be Silvia, Sergio, Juana, you, Steffi, Valeria, Angelica, or Jose. Anybody else, please, could read this final quote, and then we go to the question, comments, concerns, complaints section. Thank you, Silvia. Juliana. Juliana? Juliana.
Juliana.
Juliana. Thank you, Silvia and Juliana.
If a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn.
What does it make you think?
I think we have to adapt our teaching and make it more available for students. Maybe we need to understand the different ways they learned, and we need to integrate those ways into our teaching practices, right? For example, if I see that my students are not approving the course so I have also to reflect upon my own teaching practice and say, well, maybe I need to change them. It's not all their fault. Maybe I also share responsibility in their process, right?
Of course, a very important part. Yes, that's true. I remember, Silvia, I was in a conference in Colombia, in Florencia, like 12 years ago, and there was this teacher in the audience. He said to me at the back of this place where we were, and he said, your ideas, Jaime, are wonderful, but what about if you go and work in the jungle? No water, no electricity. And I said, yeah, you are right. But if you want to be a teacher, if you really want to be an educator, if you really decided to study this career because of your desire, because you want it, you will do it well. So that is something that I want to say in my final word in this presentation today. It's us, the ones who made the difference. It's us, the ones who have to learn something new. So now it's time for me to say thank you so much. This is my email. This is my WhatsApp number. If you want if you want the presentation, if you want one of the books in PDF, I can send it to you. And now Steffi will have a few minutes for any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much, dear Professor Jaime and Kahima. We've got some questions for you.
Oh my God.
The first question is, what role do you think cultural awareness plays in reducing language learning anxiety among foreign language settings?
Excellent question. I don't know who made that wonderful question. Anxiety nowadays is something that is controlling the world. It controls teachers. It controls. Would you believe me if I told you, Steffi, and everyone else here, that I was nervous before this presentation? I've been an English teacher for 38 years. I've been giving conference for more than 15 years, but I still feel anxious, nervous. Now, what is the role of the teacher in this case? Number one, give the students a safe place. A safe place. Nobody laughs at anyone. Everyone accepts everyone. We all make mistakes. We are a family. Yes, that is something that I learned in Costa Rica in the studies I had. When we have a new class, the first thing we must do is get a family, get a community. So then everyone will respect everyone. It doesn't matter how old, where you are from. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter. Everything that matters is that we are human beings, part of the same community.
Thank you, dear professor. The second question is, in what ways can the principles of interculturalism motivate students to learn English by connecting the language to their own culture and that of others?
Okay, thank you for that wonderful question too. I would say that the first one who has to change, the first one who has to adapt himself or herself, the first one who has to keep in mind all these principles is the teacher. If the teacher doesn't want to work with these students and these students and these students all together in the same classroom, there won't be any good change. The class will be a chaos. The class will have no discipline. So I repeat, it's the teacher, the first one to accept that diversity, culturally speaking, talking about religion, talking about origin of the students, is the teacher the one who has to understand that diversity and interculturality is part of teaching and learning a language. And not only a language, as I mentioned before, is a fifth skill. Culturality, culture is a fifth skill. So if I go to work to Colombia in your city, Steffi, I have to learn. I need to learn the way the people in your city behave, what they like, what they don't like, what they hate, what they love, and respect that.
Okay, the next question is, how can teachers address challenges when cultural diversity in the classroom leads to misunderstandings or conflicts among students?
That's a real hard question. As I said before, I had this course in Costa Rica with teachers from different parts of Latin America, the other course in London with teachers from Europe, and in the USA with teachers from all over the world. There were some moments, dear Steffi, and the one who made that wonderful question, when some people got angry at other people, but we didn't understand because we all spoke English. We didn't say bad words. We didn't swear. We didn't treat anybody wrong, but we weren't aware of what is considered correct or right depending of the country that person came from. So how to avoid misunderstandings. There are books, Steffi, and the one who made that wonderful question, there are books that explain to you the way that people behave in certain countries and certain cultures. For example, in Arabia, I know that you have to burp at the end of a meal to express that you liked that food. If you don't burp, they think that, oops, he didn't like the food that I gave him. So this, I would say, Steffi, that is one of the most crucial things about interculturality, not knowing what could affect the other people's emotions or feelings. So we need to ask and be humble and ask, sorry, did my words hurt you? Did I say something wrong? And ask for feedback.
And the last question is...
Yeah. I feel afraid. The question.
No, no worry. There are many questions that I have just been reading 4 questions. The last question is, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge teachers face when trying to incorporate interculturality into language learning?
Definitely, if you don't travel, Steffi, if you don't know other cultures, if you don't talk to people from other countries, if you don't read about other cultures, you will have not only one challenge, you will have many challenges. The more you travel, the more you meet other people, the more you read and learn about other cultures, your classes will be more successful. My students love when I tell them that in the United States this, that in Costa Rica this, that in Colombia this. They love that because they know I've been there, and I motivate them, I encourage them to travel to those countries if they have the money, if they have the economical situation that allows them to do that. Traveling, I always tell my students, traveling, you don't spend money, you invest money to learn about the new countries. So that is my recommendation. Travel, meet people, be adventurous. Don't feel afraid of doing something wrong. Be afraid of not doing anything. So it's a must. We English, French, Italian, Portuguese teachers, we need to travel. Otherwise, we won't learn about interculturality. It's a must.
Okay, that's it, dear Professor Jaime. Thank you for your insightful presentation. I must say it was very interactive, and I love your workshop.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear Steffi, Silvia, and Sergio. I love your presentation yesterday, Sergio. I just loved it. Thank you so much. And if anybody is interested, or I will send you, Steffi, I think I have Juana's telephone number, so I will send her the PPT, and you can share it with anyone who wants it.
Of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dear Sergio, you can continue.
Thank you so much for this beautiful presentation. And one more reminder, to secure your certification, please complete the evaluation form